Developing skills for the Toefl IBT. Writing.
Chapter 1. Thinking and Writing. Skill A. Integrated Writing. Organizing Information. Question 1. Ecology. Practice 1. Now listen to a lecture related to the topic in Step 1. Fill in the blanks of the note diagram below with the key words or key phrases shown. Not all of the words or phrases will be used. Morning, students. Today's lecture is on fossil fuels. So, to begin, what are they and why do we call them fossil fuels? Well, over the course of millions of years, the skeletons of prehistoric animals and the remains of ancient plants decay and change form. They turn into rock, coal, or oil that we then extract and use to create energy. The word fossil refers to these dead plants and animals. The problem is that continued use of these fuels may cause irreparable environmental damage to the Earth. What can be done? Firstly, we need to limit the use of fossil fuels. Secondly, we need to seek alternative energy sources. Why is the use of these fuels so risky? Well, there are many reasons, starting with serious air pollution caused by car exhaust fumes and the burning of coal. Some scientists think using fossil fuels also causes global warming. Heat-retaining gases enter the Earth's atmosphere and oceans whenever we burn fossil fuels. This leads to an increase in global temperatures. A warmer planet experiences major changes in weather patterns and natural disasters like floods, hurricanes, or droughts. Acid rain is also the result of harmful gases that build up in the atmosphere due to fossil fuel emissions. This rain damages and poisons agricultural crops and enters our drinking water supply. Another problem with our use of fossil fuels is oil spills from ocean tankers. These spills cause untold damage to marine life. Seabirds, fish, and mammals often become covered in oil. This means they lose their mobility and ability to avoid danger. They also cannot hunt for food and may die from starvation as a result. There are also other factors to consider. Fossil fuels will become more expensive and dangerous to extract as our supply lessens. Governments will have to spend millions on research to locate reserves. Extraction procedures become riskier when mines have to go deeper or oil rigs move further out to sea. It is clear that we should spend money on research to find alternative energy sources. Solar and wind power are examples of such energy sources. Question 1. Biology. Practice 2. Now listen to a lecture related to the topic in Step 1. Fill in the blanks of the note diagram below with the key words or key phrases shown. Not all of the words or phrases will be used.
This week we have been discussing paleontology. I hope you still remember what paleontology is. It's what paleontologists do. Just in case you have forgotten, paleontology is the study of old bones or fossils. Our topic for today's lecture has a great deal to do with paleontology. We are going to discuss dinosaurs. Dinosaurs, of course, have been studied for many centuries as we continue to uncover dinosaur bones. Throughout the years, professional paleontologists have been able to reconstruct dinosaurs. They do this by finding all of the pieces, that is bones, of the dinosaurs and put them back together. In this way, the paleontologist is able to reconstruct a skeleton of the dinosaur. Since we now know what many dinosaurs looked like from these reconstructions, we can begin to ask new questions. One question which actually isn't very new is about the biochemistry of the dinosaur. Specifically, we have been interested in finding out if dinosaurs were warm-blooded or cold-blooded. You may remember from your classes in the biology department that warm-blooded animals are called endotherms. Cold-blooded animals, on the other hand, are called ectotherms. Historically, dinosaurs were considered to be cold-blooded, that is, ectotherms. This belief does not come from hard scientific evidence. On the contrary, it comes from the similarity of dinosaur skeletons to other reptiles. Other reptiles, such as lizards, look very similar to dinosaurs. Reptiles, including lizards, are cold-blooded. For this reason, early paleontologists speculated that dinosaurs must have also been cold-blooded. However, we now believe that at least some dinosaurs were actually warm-blooded. There is a lot of strong evidence to support this point. For example, dinosaurs were enormous animals. Very large animals we can observe today are typically warm-blooded, while only smaller animals are cold-blooded. Secondly, dinosaur bones themselves look much more like bones from other warm-blooded animals. If we compare the bones of dinosaurs to cold-blooded animals, the structure of the bones is very different. Finally, dinosaurs lived in many places on Earth. They lived in both warm and cold climates. Cold-blooded animals typically only live in very warm places, so the geographic distribution of dinosaurs leads us to believe that they were warm-blooded.
Question 1. Health. Practice 3. Now listen to a lecture related to the topic in Step 1. Fill in the blanks of the note diagram below with the key words or key phrases shown. Not all of the words or phrases will be used.
We all know about the debate in public schools about vending machines. Certainly, there are obvious health risks related to having these snack machines for students. For example, we know that junk food poses a serious risk to our children's health. An average snack from a vending machine has many more calories, especially from fat, than a healthy snack. And vending machines are convenient, allowing children to easily buy junk food and consume it anywhere. But how much do children really abuse the privilege to buy snacks from vending machines? Proponents for vending machines argue that children already get healthy meals from their homes. Eating 3 healthy meals a day is not uncommon. For example, many children in public schools eat their breakfast at home, which often consists of cereal and fruits. They will also eat their dinners at home, in which they will receive meats or fish, in addition to fruits, vegetables and bread. Members of local school boards have also noted that these children also eat their lunches in the school cafeteria. As the school board assures, the school cafeteria provides children with a good variety of healthy food during the week. And as the vending machine representatives put it, children who receive healthy meals throughout the day will not be harmed by having a snack from a vending machine. One final point. Having vending machines at school does not mean that they will necessarily be abused. Both vending machine representatives and school board members have shown that the vending machines in schools are not available to students all day long. For example, the vending machines may only be turned on in the afternoons after school. In this case, students will not be able to fill up on sugary snacks and drinks throughout the day. Even parents who volunteer on school boards argue that keeping vending machines in schools but restricting their usage can help students learn to be responsible. Parents want their children to learn about being conscientious and taking care of themselves. If we ensure that our children continue to receive quality meals for breakfast, lunch and dinner, why not allow vending machines in schools for a snack?
Question 1. Social Science. Practice 4. Now listen to a lecture related to the topic in Step 1. Fill in the blanks of the note diagram below with the key words or key phrases shown. Not all of the words or phrases will be used.
People have contrasting opinions about children and TV watching. You should all know this from the assigned reading and from your own experiences, I'm sure. Let's see. Some people are of the opinion that TV watching is beneficial. How many of you agree with this side? I thought so. You all are pro-TV. Others believe that TV is harmful for children. How many agree with that idea? Right. So you people are on the con side of the argument. People on the con side believe the research that does not support kids and TV watching. These researchers have found some compelling reasons to argue against TV watching. They have found that TV is often extremely violent. In fact, children's programs are frequently 5 to 6 times more violent than adult programs. Are any of you surprised by this finding? A few, yes, but most of you, no. If you watched a lot of Bugs Bunny or Tom and Jerry cartoons, like me when you were young, you shouldn't be too surprised. To make matters even worse, the violence in children's programming often goes unpunished. This may mean that lots of kids learn to think that violence is okay. This could then lead to violent behavior at school or at play. In addition to behavioral problems, this constant exposure to violence can lead to sleeping disorders and health problems connected with them. As I just mentioned, TV watching can also have negative effects on children's health and on their grades too. Studies show that children who spend too much time in front of the TV may suffer from obesity. When TV time reduces exercise time, a child may put on weight. It looks like a few of you, and perhaps me too, have been watching too much TV lately, no? Okay, back on topic. Similarly, studies have shown that children who spend too much time watching TV may earn lower grades than students who watch less. So, when TV time reduces study time, a child may do poorly in school. I'm sure many of you have experienced this inverse relationship between grades and TV time. Right, Stanley?
Skill B. Integrated writing. Paraphrasing. Question 1. Health. Practice 1. Now listen to a lecture related to the topic in Step 1. Fill in the blanks of the note diagram below with the key words or key phrases shown. Not all of the words or phrases will be used. Due to the recent medical backlash against low-carb diets, companies that previously recommended them are now changing their tune. One factor contributing to this reversal is that while most dieters enjoy their short-term benefits, the diets are just too difficult to maintain. People need to eat a balanced diet. That's why dieters tend to fall off the wagon when they follow the low-carb approach. Diet companies that market food products no longer suggest that we cut out all or most of our carbohydrates. Instead, they have chosen to categorize carbohydrates in a new way, according to their glycemic index. Glycemic index refers to how quickly or slowly the body converts food into sugar. The lower the glycemic index, or GI, of a carbohydrate product, the more slowly it releases energy into the body. This is very healthy because it leaves us feeling fuller for longer. It also prevents our bodies from overproducing the hormone insulin, which regulates our blood sugar levels. Examples of low GI carbohydrates include whole grains, oats, and most fruits and vegetables. The problem with high GI carbohydrates, such as refined cereals, white bread, and cookies, is that we digest them very quickly. They also contain huge amounts of sugar. The body combats the sugar surge they induce by overproducing insulin. The insulin then lowers our blood sugar levels drastically, and we experience cravings for even more of these unhealthy high GI carbs. This results in a vicious cycle of sugar highs and lows and a tendency to keep putting on weight. In order to avoid the long-term dangers of starving our bodies of energy-giving carbohydrates, we should simply rather enjoy the beneficial kind, low GI carbs. Do, however, remember, folks, that no matter what you put into your mouth, exercise is also an essential component of a healthy mind and body. It keeps your heart ticking and those calories off. So, students, the next time you eat that healthy lunch of tuna salad on whole wheat, why not complement it with a brisk stroll around the campus grounds? It will make a world of difference to your health and your mood. Question 1. Health. Practice 2. Now listen to a lecture related to the topic in Step 1. Fill in the blanks of the note diagram below with the key words or key phrases shown. Not all of the words or phrases will be used.
How many of you smoke? Let's see a show of hands. So I see there are quite a few tobacco addicts in my class. Well, I hope you get involved in the class discussion today after the lecture. Today's topic is an issue close to your hearts, namely cigarette prices. As many of you may have personally experienced, the habit of smoking has a very negative stigma attached to it. That's because medical science continues to link the habit to so many life-threatening diseases. Well, to be fair, dying of lung cancer or a coronary brought on by years of puffing is no joke. It also costs the government a lot of money. Treating these patients drains government resources via the healthcare budget. However, smokers argue that they are being discriminated against. They say that increasing cigarette prices is both unfair and pointless. Let us look more closely at their arguments. In a number of surveys conducted in this country, smokers have come up with some interesting rationalizations as to why prices should not increase. The most compelling argument, in my opinion, is the following. Smokers say that obesity is a far more serious health threat. They argue that obesity-related diseases are soon going to overtake smoking-related ones as the nation's biggest killer. Despite this, we don't see increased taxation of fries, cookies, and ice cream. Cigarettes and alcohol products are taxed or marked up, whereas junk food prices stay affordable. This disparity, the smokers say, is unfair and hypocritical. Smoking is also prohibited in most public buildings and in most bars and restaurants. On this campus, students can only light up in specially marked areas. However, people can stuff their faces with as much high-fat junk food as they please. Most campus cafeterias still offer menu items with extremely high fat and sugar contents. Overeating junk food usually leads to obesity. Obesity can cause high blood pressure, heart disease, and diabetes. Smokers are saying that treating obesity-related diseases will cost the government more money in the long run than smoking. For this reason, they argue, it is time to stop putting up cigarette prices and tax donuts instead.
Question 1. Science. Practice 3. Now listen to a lecture related to the topic in Step 1. Fill in the blanks of the note diagram below with the key words or key phrases shown. Not all of the words or phrases will be used.
Okay, class. From last night's reading, you should know that the use of fluoride to fight against tooth decay has been around for a long time now. It's been used in toothpaste and even in public water supplies since the 1940s. Recently, however, controversy has arisen as more people learn that fluoride may not be as efficacious as once believed. Whether fluoride is effective or not remains a question. What's more alarming, though, and what I want to focus on in today's class, are the reports coming out that fluoride is an extremely toxic material. More and more information is being revealed about the toxic properties of fluoride. One problem connected to swallowing fluoride, according to a recent study, is that it's more toxic than lead, a well-known poison. Now, the artificial fluoride added in water or toothpaste is collected during aluminium, steel and cement production. These industries all faced lawsuits in the 1930s, when the fluoride they were releasing was killing everything within a 5-mile radius. The shocking thing is, the solution back then, still used today, was to dilute it in public water systems, ostensibly to prevent tooth decay. Toothpaste companies started using it for the same purpose. Diluted or not, the point remains that fluoride is a highly toxic industrial pollutant and it's very harmful to the human body. Health issues linked to fluoride are piling up, and concerns are a lot more serious than whether or not it fights cavities. 2 years ago, US authorities started doubting fluoride's safety. So, parents started seeing the word poison appear on toothpaste tubes, and with good reason. Doctors report fluoride is destroying our teeth, bones, and overall health. People need to know that these problems include osteoporosis, bone cancer, kidney problems, arthritis, and, Oh, yeah, things like birth defects and genetic damage too. The scary part is that we know through science that levels of fluoride can build up over time, and since we have been using fluoride every day for 50 years, well, that's a lot of fluoride in our systems. In summary then, the question shouldn't be whether fluoride is effectively fighting cavities, it should be whether it's actually killing us.
Question 1. Business. Practice 4. Now listen to a lecture related to the topic in Step 1. Fill in the blanks of the note diagram below with the key words or key phrases shown. Not all of the words or phrases will be used.
As you should have read, hemp is often confused with marijuana, and despite its wide variety of uses, is mistakenly considered an illegal drug. Hemp and marijuana are both varieties of the cannabis plant. The US ban on growing all forms of cannabis helped shape people's belief that both are a drug. Scientific data, of course, proves that hemp contains only minimal amounts of the chemical THC that makes marijuana a drug. While this data proves that hemp is not a psychoactive drug, it doesn't tell the whole story behind hemp. To make the full distinction between hemp and marijuana clear in people's minds, the multitude of useful applications for hemp must be emphasized. While marijuana's only use is that of a drug, hemp is in fact a natural raw material with a great number of industrial and commercial uses. Such applications for hemp are nothing new. Over 30 countries, including Canada, France, Germany, Russia and China, recognize hemp's variety of uses and grow it industrially. Have some of you ever seen hemp purses and clothes in store displays? Well, you'll be amazed that over 25,000 products can be manufactured from hemp, including hair conditioner, diapers, insulation, carpets, paper, perfume, you name it. The health food industry is the latest to capitalize on hemp. Richer in protein than soybeans, hemp is one of the healthiest foods you can eat. Still grown without genetic modification, hemp foods are a healthy alternative to soy products, which are now mostly made from genetically modified beans. Information simply showing that hemp is not a drug is in reality not very pertinent to the present times. I believe that most people's mistaken perception of hemp as a drug is becoming more and more something of the past. While US drug laws continue to make marijuana illegal and the old US ban on growing all forms of cannabis remains, hemp products are as perfectly legal for import and sale. Isn't it ironic then that while the US public still struggles to distinguish hemp from a drug, the US itself is the world's leading consumer and retail marketer of hemp-made goods?
Chapter 2. Making writing complete. Skill A. Integrated writing. Making connections. Question 1. Psychology. Practice 1. Now listen to a lecture and take notes on the important information.
I hope you all read the homework reading discussing anxiety. I think it was a challenging reading, very heavy going. From that reading, I hope that you understand that there are several schools of thought regarding anxiety as a mental disorder, including the Freudian theorists and the behaviorists. Today, I want to talk about anxiety and give you some examples of anxious behavior. Rather than think about Freud or behaviorists, I want you to ask yourselves this question. Are these behaviors symptoms of a mental disorder or are they simply reactions to everyday living? Let's look at some specific examples. The first one is how you feel when you take an exam. How do you feel on exam day? Do you feel anxious? Nervous? I see many of you nodding your heads yes. Have any of you ever been physically ill before taking an exam? I see a few heads nodding. Do you think your behavior should be considered a mental disorder? No, of course not. I take it from your reaction that you think your emotions are normal. Another good example is my wedding day. I was so anxious, shaking, sick feeling in my stomach. I almost called the whole thing off. Now, if I listened to Freud or other theorists who study anxiety, I would have myself believing that I have an anxiety disorder. Hands up if you think that my emotions were due to a mental disorder. It seems that most of you think that my emotions were the result of a life event and not a mental disorder. What I am saying here is that not every situation in our lives, taking an exam, getting married, that causes feelings of anxiety does so because we have a mental disorder. If, on the other hand, something in our lives causes us to stop functioning, then we can probably call it an anxiety disorder. An example of an abnormal reaction might be if we are scared of leaving our house and refuse to go outside. This type of anxious behavior unequivocally interferes with living. However, feeling nervous on our wedding day or when we write an exam probably does not mean that we have an anxiety disorder.
Question 1. Ecology. Practice 2. Now listen to a lecture and take notes on the important information. Are human beings responsible for global warming? This question plagues many scientists. Consequently, environmental researchers keep presenting us with new evidence. They hope to prove human responsibility for global warming beyond a reasonable doubt. The problem is there are those who say such research is limited. These opponents of the environmental lobby argue that the studies conducted by researchers are often not collective enough or broad enough in their scope. Some scientists study air temperatures and others study ocean temperatures, but their data is not properly combined. They argue that, to date, no scientific study has proven an undeniable link between man-made gas emissions and global warming. Let us examine the arguments more closely. The environmentalists claim that global warming is responsible for many natural disasters. They believe that as the world becomes warmer due to the heat-retaining gases we pump into the atmosphere, our planet experiences severe climatic upheaval. This upheaval causes more droughts, more hurricanes and tornadoes, and even phenomena like tidal waves. Environmentalists believe we are pushing our planet towards environmental disaster. Those who oppose this view have a different argument. They suggest that natural disasters and wild weather have been around for millions of years. The example they offer to prove their argument is the El Niño weather phenomenon. Have any of you heard of it? Well, El Niño is an ancient weather phenomenon that sometimes causes ocean temperatures to rise or tropical winds to change direction. These changes often result in terrible storms or flooding in certain areas of the earth. In other areas, it can even cause drought. It's a totally natural phenomenon, as natural as volcanic eruptions or earthquakes. So, the opponents of the environmental lobby think the argument that humans cause global warming is hypothesis, not fact. Instead, they complain that limiting emissions is going to cost jobs and money. Until there is indisputable proof linking greenhouse gas emissions to increased global temperatures, they tell us, there is no urgency in cutting down on these emissions. Question 1. Ecology. Practice 3. Now listen to a lecture and take notes on the important information.
We know that reducing our water consumption is important for a variety of reasons. As we have been studying in our course in agriculture this semester, we know that one of the most important reasons we need to curtail our water consumption is so that we will have enough water to produce food around the world. It is easy for us to be worried about this problem. Of course, we hope that farmers will find a way to obtain enough water for their plants and animals. But have you ever asked yourself what you could do to help conserve water that could be used for food production? For example, have you noticed that you have a kitchen or bathroom faucet that drips? Each drop of water might not be that much by itself, but add up all of those drops from the leaky faucet over the course of a month, and it amounts to many liters of water that could be used more effectively. You can also turn off the water as you brush your teeth. Running the water for a minute or two while you brush wastes a lot of good water. And how about the length of your showers? Many people take 15-minute showers. If you cut the length of your shower to, say, 10 minutes, you can make a considerable difference on the amount of water consumed right in your own home. There are many things that we can do to conserve water right at home. You can fix a leaky faucet, you can turn off the water while you brush your teeth, and you can take shorter showers. If we are careful not to waste water on things we do each day, our society will have extra water for more paramount uses like meat and dairy production.
Question 1. New technologies. Practice 4. Now listen to a lecture and take notes on the important information. Okay, so let's turn to a consideration of technology and marketing. As we all know, some new technologies surpass our expectations for their success. Still, others fail to meet our expectations. In the past several years, analysts have noticed a clear pattern in the way new technology enters the marketplace. It's called the hype cycle. Now, what does that mean? Well, it starts with a technology trigger, a scientific breakthrough or an event that triggers or causes publicity. This brings it to the attention of a wider audience. It shoots to the top of popularity. This so-called peak of inflation is exemplified by LCD technology. This is always followed by a sharp drop into the trough of disillusionment, as the creators of the hype cycle like to call it. That's just a fancy way of saying the idea doesn't keep its promises, and the public stops buying it. HDD TV, high-definition digital television, is an example of that phase. Over time, people learn more about the technology and maybe new applications are thought of. It starts to become more popular again and finally reaches the mainstream, called the plateau of productivity. DVD players have recently entered that plateau, or whatever you want to call it. These, catchy titles aren't so important. What matters is that you remember the cycle. It's introduced, it's hyped, it becomes very popular, then it almost disappears, and finally it comes back into the mainstream slowly.